What's up, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer, blueandgold.com with our resident football coach, Tim Hyde. National Signing Day 2.0, and there's been, 14 new commitments for Notre Dame? No, I am joking. Very quiet National Signing Day 2.0. I keep checking my phone just to be like, we sure there's no new commitments or signings today? Because there's always seems to be something on National Signing Day, but no additional signings today. Notre Dame signed 21 players in December, added a couple grad transfers in January. Notre Dame formally announced both of those guys today. Those are neat little videos, but otherwise, pretty quiet here. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk Notre Dame recruiting. We're going to talk coaching news. Probably going to talk some Jim Harbaugh. We'll take questions, drop super chats. We're just going to have some fun here. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up on this video. Help support what we're doing here at blueandgold.com, the best damn YouTube channel out there covering Notre Dame athletics. Subscribe to our channel if you are not yet, and go to blueandgold.com, your home for all things Notre Dame football. Do have to mention real quick, guys, this Founders Club hat deal, $1. This is the last day, so you get $1 for your first year of premium access. If you're listening back via podcast on Thursday, I'm sorry, you're too late. We'll still have a good deal for you, but not this one. You sign up by midnight on Wednesday, February 2nd, you'll get a free hat. 10% of your lifetime subscription will go to or towards the Loose Emoji Memorial Scholarship. And yeah, you get free hat, $1 for a year. Pretty sweet deal. Yeah. Tim, what do you think about the message boards, man? Do you like it? Talking ball with some folks?
Oh man, yeah. It's fun. It's fun. Lively debates, and no, it's been really good. It's a blast talking Notre Dame football because every day is an adventure. It feels like, especially since Brian Kelly said sayonara and Marcus Freeman's come aboard. So
Yeah.
every day has been a blast.
Yeah, we already got a comment here from Josh. He looks like Ian Book, does he not? You see it? I don't know.
I see what you're saying.
Josh, you
I
kind of look like
see
Ian
it,
Book
but
there, buddy. But yeah, so do you want to start right before we're doing our vocal exercises, Tim, and preparing and doing our meditations for this show? I am 100% joking. Jim Harbaugh sticking at Michigan when there were reports that he was going to head to the Vikings. I even read that Harbaugh had said his goodbyes at Michigan. Um, he's coming back, signing a long-term deal. Really interesting. Thoughts on? I mean, is there like a Notre Dame impact of this news, Tim? I mean, I guess. I mean,
sure.
the Irish aren't playing Michigan in a while, so it would just be from a recruiting standpoint.
Yep.
So I think if he signs a long-term deal, that might help the Wolverines with someone like Dante Moore, the 2023 quarterback.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, recruiting. I mean, they go head to head with so many guys, so it's definitely going to have an impact. And yeah, I just saw the news just 10 minutes ago. I think everyone out there assumed he was going to be going and wanting to get back in the NFL and do something his brother did, which is win a Super Bowl. And but it doesn't sound like he's going to do it. So I've not read the news. So you're saying he signed a long term deal. So
I think it's looking like it, Tim.
yeah, oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. You know, he'll probably sit there and retire and go from there. But yeah, when it comes to recruiting, because Notre Dame's had some great success lately in Michigan. So, and I know Coach Freeman and staff have been especially trying to get into those Detroit areas. And the biggie is Dante Moore, and that's going to be a battle till the end to get that young man.
All right. We got a question already here about Notre Dame's new hire of Gerard Parker.
Sure.
Interested to, hear what you think about him, Tim. I don't know if this is someone you've, done a whole lot of research on before today.
No,
A little bit out of the blue in the sense that's like not a household name, but you look at his resume. This 2017 Cincinnati stint was really short, and then he went to be a football operations assistant at Duke that same year. Purdue interim head coach, receivers coach. Who was he with? Marcus
Marcus
Freeman.
Freeman and Coach Mason. So yeah, I mean when I saw the news, that was the first thing I did. I instantly went to Google and looked up Purdue and Toledo to see if he was a long time. Obviously back then I saw the Purdue connection. You know, people could say what they are. There's always names that thrown out there, hot tight end names. Go get this guy, go get that guy. It's Coach Freeman's first season, and I am of the fan, the believer, the philosophy of it all of go out and get guys guys you've worked with, guys that you have trust in to sell your vision, your philosophy, all of those good things, the culture that Marcus Freeman is going to do. It's his program. So he wants his guys. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, great. Because I've said this a ton over the last couple of weeks. The more people that Marcus Freeman bring in that are more associated with him, I feel is the better for Notre Dame because he is trying to transition and change quite a few things there.
Yeah, I think it's a solid hire. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm going to be honest. It's like it feels a tad bit like McNulty in that McNulty, like when Notre Dame hired McNulty,
Mm-hmm.
now offense coordinator at Boston College, I felt like McNulty was not going to be there for a long time at Notre Dame. You look at his track record, it's like, man, he bounces around every couple of years. He's at a new stop. And it felt like McNulty was a little overqualified. The big difference between these two guys is that McNulty's been coaching, twice as long.
Yeah.
But coordinator experience, neither have really coached tight ends a ton. It was just kind of like this is the opening, and there you go. The last time Parker has coached tight ends, 2014. I don't even know if McNulty coached tight ends at all until he came to
Notre
Notre
Dame.
Dame. So I think it's someone who's comfortable, a veteran coach. He's been position coach at the Division I level since UT Martin, 2008, running backs coach. I mean, it's been around. I was in middle school at that time, Tim.
Well, he's also a co-offensive coordinator in the Big 12,
Yeah,
so it's not like he's
offensive
yeah.
coordinator last year. I think my read on it.
Gotcha.
Let me pull this back up.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't done much research. I did go
Yeah,
on YouTube, watch a couple of his videos and whatnot. Animated football coach, very engaging. Yeah, he looks like a Marcus Freeman personality guy, a guy that's
yeah,
really outgoing, having a lot of fun with his players, and demanding quite a bit out there on the football field.
yeah. So he was the offensive coordinator the past couple seasons at West Virginia, and then I think it was Graham Harrell, who's Texas Tech quarterback, USC. He's the
Hmm.
new offensive coordinator, so he's gonna be the play caller. So they demoted Parker to co-OC, non-play caller, receivers coach. So I think he kind of saw writing on the wall a little bit. Maybe he's a little PO'd that he's not the play caller there anymore, and
Hmm.
saw an opportunity to coach with somebody and maybe be a key part of the game planning there at
For
Notre
sure.
Dame. McNulty. We talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
McNulty was kind of a um, I don't know, like a key piece to the Notre Dame offense. Someone who Reese really trusts. I think Parker he can be that. I mean, he's got coordinator experience. Seems to be a bright mind. Someone who Reese is not going to be intimidated by. Maybe I think if they brought in like a Brewster or some big name guy, maybe that's not exactly what Tommy Reese wants. Maybe he wants a little bit more control for the first time with Brian Kelly out.
Yeah, all good points, but it's also I think that comfort thing. And coaches, you're going to want to coach with guys that and I think that's with McNulty. McNulty was Reese's guy. I mean, obviously going back to the Chargers, how do they have Coach Stuckey, the wide receiver coach? Because McNulty coached him. Going back to that whole connection we talked about when we did a video about Stuckey, that whole pipeline from Ken Wisenhunt to McNulty into Reese, on, and then boom, he's now at Notre Dame. And I think they did the same thing here with tight end. McNulty just leaves. A couple days later, Freeman's like, "Hey, I've coached with this guy. I know this guy. Let me give him a call, see what he wants to do." And there you go. I mean, they're getting a football coach out of the Big 12, so I think it's good. It's a comfort thing. More importantly, we're talking about tight end. Notre Dame's tight end you. As long as he likes going out on the road recruiting, having some fun, he's going to teach those guys how to catch the ball. And Harry Hiestand is going to teach him how to down block, so he doesn't have to do a whole heck of a lot of that. So that's the good thing I think moving forward. But it's a comfort thing, and like I said, I'm going to pound this point home. He's bringing in guys that he wants to be around, and that's so important for a first-time head football coach.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the really important kind of thing to note is first time football coach, bring in people you're
Hmm.
comfortable with. Brian Kelly got ripped a lot when he just brought in Brian Kelly guys. It was like, oh, it wasn't a positive then by a lot of Notre Dame fans, but now Marcus Freeman still, even though they lost against Oklahoma State, still pretty much in honeymoon phase, I would
But
say.
there's that's going back to the message board where we're chatting up. Every time someone gets hired, there's 3,000 comments about it, and we have fun chit chatting and all that stuff. But it's very what Brian Kelly did in his 2.0 reboot in 2017, bringing in some outsiders. That doesn't happen often. Coaches are going to go out and get guys that they know. Once again, going back to Stuckey, Reese doesn't know him, but McNulty does. You interview him, you
I've
go
got
in there.
I've got thoughts about that. I want to interject.
Sure.
I think McNulty was what was McNulty? Was he a
He coached
receivers
him.
coach?
He was a receiver
He was
coach
the
in
receivers
Phoenix.
coach. I think he had
Hmm.
Stuckey for 1 year as a player.
Yes.
That relationship can't be anywhere near the same as being on the same staff and working
Yes.
together for a couple years. I mean, a player 10 years ago, and it's not like McNulty is Reese or Freeman. I mean, McNulty's not the one making that hire. Maybe that got the foot into the door,
Definitely the
but
foot in the door.
I think it got the foot in the door. But to say that all of Freeman's hire, and I'm not saying you're saying this, Tim, but to
Hmm.
say that all of Freeman's hires have been guys that he's worked with. I mean, I guess we can grandfather him in because he knows Notre Dame, and that was an easy kind of fit in. But Stuckey, I wouldn't say he had really strong relationships with anyone. So I think that's a good outside hire from his little coaching tree, for the lack of a better term.
Exactly. And some, going back off of your point, is coaches have a Rolodex of people they know in the business and young coaches coming up. And I think, I wouldn't be surprised if that was probably some of the case. Like, hey, this guy's coaching. Here's his little resume. You got the Dabo thing. You called Dabo. You called Coach Elliott, who's now at Virginia,
Yep.
and you start hearing all the stories about him. And I think that's a heck of a hire. And I think Coach Freeman wanted. That's going back to the wide receiver room. Who did they want in there? An energetic guy to basically go in there and just clean the walls, repaint the walls, and let's start
Yep.
fresh. And I think that's what they brought Stuckey in for, was his energy. And reading your articles about the previous weekend and him being on the road and things like that on your recruiting takes, is you're hearing a lot of positive news about him on the road, which is awesome.
Honeymoon phase again.
Yeah,
Like let's be.
honeymoon phase. But when you hear coaches talking about it, that have met both coaches, and it's not to pick, bad and good, about
You
the
do
last
read my
coach.
reports, then. Yeah. Look. I
Exactly. With
my
Coach Alexander, you hear those takes. And I
yeah.
think that goes a long way, and that goes back to the Dabo factor
Yeah.
of with Coach Stuckey.
I keep wanting to move on, Tim, but you keep sucking me back in with these good points. Um, I am very much of the belief that when you replace a new coach, a lot of times you bring in the opposite. Like
Mhm.
Kelly to Freeman, the opposite. Like Dale Alexander to Chancey Stuckey, opposites. Age, energy. You mentioned my report. I did have an article at blueandgold.com. I think it was a Lucky Charms report that I had heard from a high school coach who had Alexander by his school many times and then had Stuckey in it. I loved Al Alexander, like as a man and coach. Like I really respected him. Just as a recruiter, just struggled. Just like you got to have a lot of swagger and charisma to recruit divas of receivers, and just don't
Yeah.
think Dell had that. Okay, had Jason's comment up on the screen here. It says almost 100 people watching, only 31 likes. I agree. So let's get that thumbs up count. Continue to bump that up. Doc Yoda Mendoza says, don't know how to use the thumbs up and subscribe to get the free hat. I appreciate you mentioning this. The subscribe to the YouTube channel is totally different than the Blue and Gold, our website offer. So I will show you guys our front page here at blueandgold.com. See this site move special deal. Let me move Tim here so you guys can see this. Head to the site. It is $1 for the first year. You click on that puppy. There you go. Name, card number, subscribe. Pretty easy. Read your terms. But if you sign up before, and again, I apologize if you're listening via podcast on Thursday, but you'll still be able to get a really good deal, just not the Founders Club hat. And if you're inducted into the Founders Club, again, by signing up before midnight, 10% of your lifetime subscription at Blue and Gold goes towards the Loose Emoji Scholarship Fund. Man, do I wish Loose Emoji were here. Tim, I
Oh,
love you, man, but I would much rather be doing this show with Loose Emoji, the goat of Notre Dame.
well, yeah. I've mentioned 100 times. I mean, I've been reading lose words of wisdom since the '80s. So a long, long time. I've read his words and whatnot. And I've even gone back and watched some of the videos that you guys did last year. So no, he's the best. He's the best when it comes to Notre Dame.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
there's
Okay,
no doubt about
got a super chat. Let's sound the alarm.
it. Oh, I love it.
Snowman, let's just get right
Oh,
into it. What
right
are your
into it.
thoughts on Marcus Freeman winning a national championship with Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Hyde?
Cheers to
Yeah.
that.
Hey, cheers. Shout out to Bolton Landing Brewing Company. Brendan, if you are watching this,
Thank you.
this is not your beer in here for me. This is your cup,
It
but
is
not
for
your
me.
beer. What are you drinking, Tim?
Tell you, this is unbelievable. This New England IPA.
Tight squeeze.
Outstanding.
It's very good.
Outstanding.
I'm out. I'm out, Brendan. So if you're watching this or listening to this, you have my address. Would not mind. All right, let's take this question. I want to
There
talk a
you
little.
go.
I want to talk a little recruiting. So Tim, pull out the crystal ball. What's your
Oh,
forecast?
day by day, week by week. What's the schedule look like? Who's injured in week 8 of 2025? Yeah. No, is he going to win a national championship? Yeah. I've said it 3,000 times. It's all about, who's your quarterback and what do you look like up front on the defensive line. And when I say that, I'm because if you want to win a national championship, you're going to have to beat an SEC football team, either in the semis or in the championship game. So that's what your team better look like. That's how your team better play. You have to beat an SEC football team somewhere along the line to win a national championship. So is he going to do it? I'll tell you what, we were talking earlier. I firmly believe that this roster is going to get turned upside down in the next 12 months.
Tell us
Winter
why.
conditioning
What are
now,
you thinking?
spring, you got to have another season. So there's going to be some dudes that don't play next year and they're going to be gone. And I really think he's going to have a huge class. I hope he goes out and signs 35 guys and count half of them towards this year because he only signed 21. So I just really think there's going to be a big purging because I think Marcus Freeman, go back to the first time we ever talked about him, is he's a Buckeye. He's played for national championships. He knows what it's like to be on the field playing for a national championship, and he's got to go find those football players to be at that level.
Yeah. Look at like who he worked under for a while. Luke Fickell. I hear Luke Fickell was a bulldog. Like
Mm-hmm.
he don't take no shit. Excuse my French. So does Notre Dame kind of take some Luke Fickell mentality? Like if you're like a little bit more cutthroat, maybe. I don't know. Like is that good? Bad? Brian Kelly wasn't like that.
Go get players. He's got to get players.
Yeah.
He's going to get players. And, the defensive guys he signed, we'll talk about them. Notre Dame hasn't had a linebacker class like this in ages. They got, a couple corners I feel that are outstanding football players. They got a top 100 defensive lineman, as the great Loose Emoji always says, that's the white whale. How often in the history of Notre Dame have, since Lou Holtz left, have they signed top 100 defensive linemen? There's a couple of them. That's it. And Tyson Ford's one of them. So they got to go out and get more of them. And when I say purge, clean, he's going to do it because I really think there's some guys on this roster that aren't going to play a lot of football this year. And you're going to see the transfer portal. And that's what it's used for. I mean, all the SEC teams have been doing it for a decade before we had the transfer portal, meaning oversigning. They would oversign, cut players, not renew scholarships. Now it's just, you go to the transfer portal. They've just cleaned it up. It looks
Yeah.
nicer.
The one-time transfer rules really changed the game, I feel like. I just feel like a lot of guys are going to be like, all right, I'm entering the portal after my freshman year, and then, oh, I can't do it again. I got to sit out of here if I transfer again. So we will
But
see.
look at the couple guys that have already done it with Notre Dame. I think they're on the campus like, I can't play here. Or have the demands changed a little bit since Freeman's taken over? Practice a little bit different under Brian Kelly than Freeman. Did some guys see the writing on the wall? Those types of things, especially at the DB position. They brought back some fifth-year guys, out of the 11 transfer portal guys for Notre Dame, half of them are DBs. And I think those are guys that probably just figured I'm not going to get on the field here, so I got to go.
Yeah, Kari G, JoJo Johnson. That was a six-man defensive back class in 2021, and it's already down to four. The HH show, which I just want to say that's the Harry Hestand show. Just just
There we go.
just for you, Tim. He says,
Oh, I
"What's with
love
the
that. Love that.
ties?" Great C145 says, "Suits are coming back. They probably have basketball shorts on because we can't see." I absolutely have basketball shorts on. I think my tie might just clear my nipple too, because this is all you can see. You don't. I mean, it
I
doesn't.
my tie's tie. I'm a huge Mad Men fan for show, so I don't mind wearing suit and ties anytime I can. So take advantage of it.
I did not learn. This is a little tidbit about me. I did not learn how to tie a tie until I was like 22 years old. I just never really needed to wear one. And when I was trying to learn how to tie a tie, just all of the YouTube videos and articles I was reading
No,
just did not do it for me. I just need to be taught things in a certain way. And I found one video and it was like how to tie a tie for an effing loser or just like an effing idiot or something like that. And the guy is berating you and calling you all sorts of obscenities in this video. I tried to find it recently. I couldn't. It probably got taken down because how horrible it was.
uh,
I know how to tie a tie. It spoke to me.
no. But why do we wear ties? We do it. I mean, obviously, if we're just chit chatting about a recruit, we'll wear a collared shirt. But ties are big events, meaning home games or not home games, but football games in
Yeah.
general. And obviously, tonight is I love the National Signing 2.0 show, which is the second National Signing Day going to just get? Are we just going to get rid of that
I think
eventually?
I think they need to. I
Yeah,
really do think they need to. They either need to get rid of December or get rid of February. I think they need to get rid of December, to be honest with you. I think
yeah,
that the coaching changes has completely switched up the game there. Um, I don't know. Like it's
yeah. I mean,
Coach
today's just
Lee's.
a day for interviews. Today's a day for interviews. Marcus Freeman was online doing interviews with uh, people all over videos and shows and all that. So it's just turned into a day of do
And
some,
just
talking
yeah,
about your roster.
for some schools there was nothing like Notre Dame. It was just interviews. But during December National Signing Day, there was just I mean, Marcus Freeman did a lot of interviews that day as well.
Because he had
But
his class locked in.
the thing that I remember hearing when they implemented this second signing day, I should say early signing day, a few years ago was the coaches don't have to babysit in December and January now. If that's the main reason, that's a load of crap.
Yeah.
I mean, the side effects of this early signing day with how much coaches are getting fired earlier in the season to salvage recruiting classes and get a coach in there sooner, and coaches leaving right before signing day in December. The timeline just doesn't make sense. Like coaches should get let go weeks before signing day after the season. I just don't like the way it is right now. Any thoughts on that, Tim, before we move into this class?
Yeah, real quick. Well, the season ends so late now. I mean, the season
Yeah, but
for
if it
some of
ends
these
in
schools.
January 8th for two teams, at least you still got a month before
Oh,
signing day.
well, I'm talking December though. So if a coach is coaching, it to December 1st and he gets fired, the next coach has like 10 days before the next signing day. That's what I kind of mean
Oh,
is right
yeah.
after the season. So like Brian Kelly left early and you got boom, only a couple weeks. Notre Dame's a different animal because they had so many guys locked up. But
Yeah.
some of those schools are still recruiting low numbers. And no, it's wild. It's a wild, wild west out there just trying to get guys, and then guys sign so early, all of a sudden they leave. Kari G, we talked about this. He signed without ever visiting Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. A kid signs Division I scholarship, has never been on campus.
Part of
But
that was the COVID year.
COVID, sure, sure.
Yeah, but all right, let's move on. We move on to recruiting 2022 class. We did an article at blueandgold.com titled Cover 3. It's where a cute little name for us to have three staff members write their takes on whatever topic. And this one was, what letter grade do you give Notre Dame's 2022 class? Tim, you gave it a B. Tell us why. What was your thinking there?
Yeah, sweet, cuddly little grade in the middle, I guess. Give him a nice B. You can't go A. Even and it's hard because this is the sixth ranked class. This is what the second highest ranked class in 10 years. at Notre Dame. So Notre Dame has not been up here so long. So you're thinking it's an A. It's an A at certain positions. Offensive linemen, outstanding. Linebackers, like we were talking earlier, Coach Freeman comes in, sees the linebacker room, instantly has to upgrade, goes out and gets 4 dudes. Got a heck of a defensive end in Tyson Ford. Gobira was one of those late bloomers that they got on early, and his film at the All American game, his takeoff's outstanding. So, good class. I gave it a B. I I gave it a B because of the misses, and I talked about that in my little blurb I did there in the article was the misses. I thought the misses. This class could have been one of the premier classes Notre Dame's had in 25 years, and they missed out on a few guys. And obviously, we've talked about the wide receivers leaving. But then when you start looking at it, for as good as the tight end is, well, 2 great tight ends, the depth, they defensive line, they only signed 3D linemen, which, is puzzling because they only got a couple last year. And most of those guys, the last couple years have been tweeners, projects. That's Coach Elston's favorite thing is to go get the 800th ranked guy and coach him for 4 years. Well, what's the depth chart going to look like now in 2023 when Foskey and all these guys leave? It's going to look really light. And I started looking at that, and that's kind of why I hit it a B. And quarterback, I'm not, quarterback.
You watch your damn mouth.
Hey, I've been following Notre Dame a long time, and I followed. I'm waiting for Notre Dame to get back to when they had Meyer, Paulus, Jarius Jackson, to throw out a name. Obviously, Jimmy Clausen was the #1 player in the country. It's been a while. It's been a while since Notre Dame's had that elite level at quarterback. So that was my reasoning. Some outstanding football players, and if you got to be on a math test, you'd be happy. So there you go.
I guess it depends. It's a joke of a comment, Tim, but it depends who you are. If you're Syracuse and you have the #6 class in the country, you're jumping for joy. If you're Notre Dame, you get a B, and that speaks to what Notre Dame has been these past few years. So this is the On3, what I've been kind of playing here for our YouTube audience, On3 profiles. This is my probably favorite thing among many, really, but the industry comparison page. So you can see his consensus ranking, which equally weighs all 4 of the major recruiting websites, puts it through an algorithm and spits it out a national ranking and comparatively to against the other players in the country in this 2022 class. You see On3 has him ranked number 90. This is Eli Raridan, tight end signee from Iowa. On3 has him ranked as the number 91 player in the country. 24/7 up to 56, Rivals down to 195, and ESPN. They struggle. They do. But this is the man that I don't understand the Steve Angeli slander. Tim, he was a 4-star, I think, by all the sites. And then he goes to Future 50, wins the accuracy challenge there. I thought did really well in the 7-on-7. He goes to Under Armour All-America game, had a fine performance there in the week of practices in the game. It's like, should he not be going to this thing? He just keeps getting dropped. Freaking Rivals dropped him from a high 3-star to a mid 3-star. I mean, that's ridiculous. He's not even nationally ranked at his own position. Are you freaking kidding me? An Under Armour All-American with offers from Ohio State, Michigan, LSU, Oregon, Penn State, Notre Dame, offer list, won a state title. I think he was 17-1 as a starter. He's not like I had someone ask me. People know I love Steve Angeli. I had someone ask me on the message board recently, would you rank him inside the top 150? You know what I said, Tim? I said I'd have him as a 5-star. No, I did not say that. I said no, I would not have him in the top 150 nationally. But I would have him as a 4-star, and I would have him somewhere in like around 250 nationally. I just think he's got all the tools to me, and he's got an it factor. He's got some shit to him, and I think he's just got it. And I wrote this in my Cover 3 article, which I really recommend folks checking this out. Use that dollar deal at blueandgold.com. Read all of our content. Get on the message board. I wrote that I don't know if it's going to be at Notre Dame or somewhere else if Steve doesn't get a shot at Notre Dame, but I think he's going to be he's going to be a good football player. That's my Steve Angeli rant. Seeing this on the screen right here, this pisses me off. This pisses me
I
off.
will say, I mean, I will say his film. He does throw some nice balls. He's a good athlete. I mean, I like him better than Drew Pine when you compare their high school film.
I think he's just a taller Drew Pine.
Is he? I don't think this goes into the rankings at all, but maybe for Notre Dame followers and fans out there, is he? Is he Jack Cohn 2.0? That's when I see film on him, is he a good runner? And I don't know if that goes into the rankings because his offense was a pro style, some wing tee. He does
Very.
a lot of bootlegs. He only throw 14 times a game, so he's not gunslinging it out there. He's not in shotgun and things of that nature. They're gonna ground and pound you and play outstanding play action quarterback on his film. His fakes, he's very well coached. Has some great touch to the ball. He looks like a solid quarterback. When I say solid, as in he's going to make some plays, he's going to do some good things, but what's he going to be on the big stage against elite players? Is he a Notre? I don't know. I mean, this goes back to me. I've been following Notre Dame a long time. Where does he stand in all these Notre Dame quarterbacks I've seen play since the '80s? Where does he land in there? And I don't know if he plays on a lot of these teams over the years. I don't, compared to a lot of the quarterbacks. So,
Here's the thing:
is he at Notre Dame now because there just isn't? I mean, Notre Dame has not recruited elite quarterbacks since Jimmy Clausen. I mean, they had Gunnar Kiel, who was a 5-star, and
I don't think Buckner was
Kelly
Buckner
hated
or
him.
Jurkovec.
Man, don't get me started on Jurkovec, man. Boy,
But I mean, if you're talking about elite quarterbacks
Jurkovec in a good
when
way.
they were recruits,
Oh no, I mean Buckner's good. Yeah, Buckner's was good. It stinks he didn't have a senior year because he probably would have blown up. Buckner's, I think, ranking is off of his. He played at such a bad small level in San Diego. Jurkovec was outstanding. I think that's one Notre Dame fans are going to be kicking around forever about how is he not the Notre Dame quarterback. But
yeah,
I think that's a YouTube. We'll be talking a heck of a lot about that come November.
yeah. I just don't get the consistent drops. That's just what I don't get.
He's not as good as he is. I'll be brutally honest. Phil Jurkovec is a much better quarterback than Steve Angeli. Big time. I mean, I was a big Phil Jurkovec fan. I think he's a heck of a quarterback. Something happened. Something happened in that quarterback room in that drinking water in South Bend that just turned that
He wasn't.
top 100.
He wasn't playing. Ian Book was going to be the guy. He wasn't transferred.
I know that. Well, that's
started.
Going back to the Brian Kelly thing. Brian Kelly liked playing Ian Book and Tommy Rees. Those are his two quarterbacks that he's going to be remembered for at Notre Dame.
I will say this film we're watching, this is his junior year. This ain't even a senior year film. He never put out like a full highlight film of senior year because there's a pass of Jade Bellamy, another guy I'm bullish on. But yeah, he never even. So
he does have some senior film online. I've watched his
senior
film.
Just not like a 6-minute, 7-minute highlight tape. I just didn't want to be.
He's a good football player. I don't think he's like ranked in the mid 30s like some of the services have him or 40.
Where would you have him?
Top 25. Maybe top. I mean, I've gone over some of the quarterbacks. There's some guys in the top 20 that are really good. And I don't know if he's up there with some of those guys. 18 to 22. I was actually doing that today. When I saw your post about him and his ranking, I went and checked it out and started spot shadowing a lot of those quarterbacks between 18 and 30. And it's like, he's just as good as a ton of those guys. He's not a top 10 guy. He's not a top, upper guy. I mean, there's some really good quarterbacks in here.
I think it could really help Steve if he gets a little late growth spurt here. You've heard me talk about his dad is, 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". I don't know. I've met his dad Giannis a few times. I'm about 6'3". Actually, me and Steve are about the same height. And
Gotcha.
Giannis towers over me.
He looks tall. He looks tall, lean, athletic. He's got a great release. There's not a lot of bad to his game other than, what's going to be the arm.
Truck or trailer? Is it a truck or trailer argument? I did not mean to turn this show into a Steve Angeli discussion, but I'm very passionate about couple players in this world,
Oh,
Stephen
without a doubt.
Jones, but he might be a trailer. Maybe
But can you win? But this is going back to the grade I gave as a B and talking about things. How is Notre Dame going to win a national championship when they have a trailer at quarterback? You can't do that. You can't do you can't
part of
do
the
that because
problem is that how many trucks each year are there
okay,
in a
okay.
class? How many trucks are in a class? What, two, three, four?
Oh, there's more trucks than that. I
I'm
think. I
talking
mean, you
national. Look, we're past the point of
are you
winning.
talking quarterback? Oh, there's
Tim, but we're
plenty of
past the
trucks at
point of
quarterback.
11 win truck. We're talking national championship truck. We're talking
Yes.
Tua, Bryce Young. I guess Bryce Young hasn't won one yet. Stetson Bennett, is a little bit more of an exception because he had a crazy elite talent all around him. So if Notre Dame's quarterback is not going to have that crazy elite talent, the quarterback's got to be the crazy elite talent. But the problem
Mhm.
is all those top quarterbacks. Oklahoma's going after that same guy. So is Alabama. So is
So,
USC.
uh,
It's not like it's an easy thing for Notre Dame just to go pick those
why?
guys off the
Well,
street.
well,
But I will say, Tim, I'll let you talk.
oh yeah, I get you.
Caleb Williams, a profile school in Gonzaga.
Mhm.
Is it Gonzaga in Maryland or DC? In that
DC, it's
DMV
one of the
area.
Catholic schools. Yep.
Notre Dame didn't recruit him. Just didn't recruit him. So that's part of the problem. All right. Is our viewership up right now, or are people being like, Mike's an idiot, we're out?
So, but your point, and this is my point, is you're talking about, oh, there's only so many out there. You're Notre Dame. How is Notre Dame not in the room with these quarterbacks? How did Notre Dame go and offer the quarterback who signed with, I think it's the Alabama guy, correct? Where they offered him so late and then he just, or is it the Clemson? Is one of those two.
Ty,
They signed, or excuse me, they offered extremely
Ty
late.
Simpson, Alabama. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That guy, how did they not offer that guy until 6 months after Angeli? Did the film get lost? I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but can you compare the film? Come on. How about the guy who's going to West Lafayette, who's in your home state? Watch his film. There
Oh,
are
you're talking about
guys that know. Oh yeah, Brady Allen
Brady Allen. Yeah. Gibson Southern.
in
Yeah.
your state. In your
That's the
state, you never
one I
offered him.
think Notre Dame's going to kick themselves
Yes.
because, especially around October-ish when they started going after Walker Howard, the 5-star
Yes.
LSU commit, and they were like, all right, let's take two quarterbacks. Maybe we're going to take two. We're not going to take two. And then they didn't go after Brady Allen. I think Brady Allen had a lot of Notre Dame gear. Like, I think he grew up a Notre
That's
Dame
good.
fan. And
And but you know what? But this is Brian Kelly. Now it's Marcus Freeman's turn. And that's going back to these quarterbacks that I've grown up watching that were elite, all of them top 100s back in the heyday. Why, it must be a Brian Kelly thing because they did not get after these guys. I mean, Ian Book, who's a 3-star who decommitted from Washington State for crying out loud, took him to the playoffs for 2 years. The only 5-star he signed was Gunnar Kiel, who had a great year one year at Cincinnati, but he just never went after these guys. And especially in this class, which is about more than anyone, Notre Dame just had the offer to the Rutgers guy and Angeli for months. So they didn't actively go after the Clemson guy, the Alabama guy, the kid going to Purdue. So many of these guys. You're saying like Caleb Williams is at a Catholic school, Bryce Young at the premier Catholic school in America, and they don't go knock on his door. Why is that?
not talk about modern day. I think that's a sore subject for Notre Dame
Oh,
fans right now.
it is, but I'm saying the Catholic schools in general. Heck,
Yeah.
The kid going to Arizona from Servite High School in Anaheim, California, is ranked ahead of Angeli. You watch his film; that kid is unbelievable athletic quarterback. So it's an interesting thing because Notre Dame would never shy away from walking into the doors with the premier quarterbacks. Nowadays, they're going after Drew Pine, Brendan Clark. I mean, Brendan Clark would never get recruited 15 years ago, and he signed at Notre Dame. So there's something. It's I'm not trying to be too negative, but the quarterback, your truck and trailer analogy, Mike, is the best thing to talk about, and it starts with the quarterback position.
Listen, Tim, you're being fair and honest, and I appreciate that. Do I have a little bit of Angeli bias? Maybe. Maybe I do.
And that's
But
hey, and Jelly does have some tools. So if they are going to take a Steve Jelly, you got to go out and go load up with some amazing skill guys to take advantage of him. And he's the Stetson Bennett. Who's the Coker or no? Who was the quarterback in 2015 at Alabama who never played a snap until the 1 year and he takes him to the national title? I forget his name. Even Mac
mm,
Jones. Mac Jones doesn't play. He's playing as much as you and I are in Tuscaloosa, and all of a sudden he's in a national championship. Why? Because they had dudes on the perimeter, Najee Harris, and an offensive line that looked like five Blake
yeah.
Fishers. And so if you're going to recruit a Stephen Jelly or a Mac Jones and some of the and Stetson Bennett and some of these quarterbacks, go load up with dudes on the perimeters, and they better.
I mean, ideally, you'd want trucks everywhere on the field, but
Sure.
look, just going back to my point on Steve, I've seen him in person throw 5 or 6 times, going back to September 2020. I just have always liked him throwing. I think he's a great kid, and I just don't understand the ranking. Whether or not he's going to, be a national championship caliber player or whatever it is, I don't know. Probably not, but he's a damn good quarterback in my opinion. So, all right,
You're
what
right.
else you want to talk about with this?
I do agree. Just for 12 seconds, I do agree with you. His ranking is extremely low. There's a guy going to Kansas, I think, or something like that, ranked ahead of him. I'm like, come on, people.
Part
So
of me is like, we left Rivals for On3. Is Rivals be like, screw you, Singer, on the way out? We're dropping your boy. Like, is that a thing, Rivals? If you're paying attention, I don't know. But a mid 3-star.
well, his practice film was outstanding when he's at the Under Armour film. The guy, he's throwing dimes all over the place in
We
practice.
every time I've seen him, I've put this stuff on our YouTube channel. It's not like I'm making this up or
I
like
know.
I put incompletions in his Under Armour film too. When I put that on our YouTube channel,
Yep.
I put incompletions in there just to be like, it's Mike. You're just showing all of his completions. No, I'm not. How does this class stack up versus past Notre Dame classes? Now we're gonna pull up on the screen here
Mm-hmm.
if I can somehow find it in me to move on from talking
Well,
about Steve.
it's all good.
He's going to be available to the media, by the way, on Friday. I think that'll be fun. All
Yeah,
of the
no, that's
early
cool.
enrollees will meet with the media. So the On3 consensus team recruiting ranking goes back to 2007. So you look at top 10 classes for Notre Dame in this time, 2022. It's current class number 6. We thought last year's class was really good, number 11. I mean, each site is going to have averages and do their rankings a little bit differently. It's like on Rivals, this was the top, I think it was the number 9 class in the country, so it's 11 On3 here. 19 On3 consensus ranking for 2020. I think it was 23 according to Rivals. So it's going to be a little bit give and take. So you have a
Only
number,
17 players, yeah.
yeah, 17 players. So On3 does more of an average based on your recruiting ranking. Rivals was on a wanky point system. I don't know what 24/7 and ESPN do. I never worked there, so I can't tell you. You had a number 10 class in 14. Now, this was a great class, number 4 overall. But who made up a lot of that 2016 4 and 8 team? A
Well,
lot
they,
of the
well, they
2013
didn't have
class.
Eddie Vanderdoes, that's why.
You had
He
a
left that group.
couple of top 10 classes back to back in 2010 and 11 at number 9. And then 2008, 2007, number 2 and number 4. So there you go. Thoughts on kind of stacking up? Is this class, I don't know, remind you of a class? Wherever you want to go with this, Tim.
It's a solid group. It's a solid group at those few spots. Offensive line, linebacker, tight end. They got to be in the top 3 nationally at those 3 positions, most definitely. Obviously it's not ranked higher. You only had 1 running back. He's a heck of a running back. 1 wide receiver, 1 heck of a wide receiver, but you only had 1. And the DBs a lot of them are ranked lower, so that goes from there. Even though 2 of them I think can play right away, which I'm hoping they are, is Morrison and Mickey, 2 fantastic football players out from the western area. It's a solid group. When you look at great classes, who's on the cover of Blue and Gold. That's what I'm dying to look at. Who is going to be that cover guy?
Do you know who it is?
It's gonna be Stephen Jelly if it's but
Oh, dude, we've already. Let me.
no, I don't know.
Do you want to see it?
Oh, hey, do we have a premiere? You got the drum roll going?
It's been out. I mean, so last year's cover.
Was your picture, right?
Yeah, it was that Blake Fisher shot.
Yeah.
Actually, I have it as a stand here on my for my laptop.
Hey,
Is Big Fish. So you guys
if
can
you're
pre-order
able,
this in the
oh, I
caption
love it.
of this video, or just go to bluegoldonline.com. This you're going to want to pre-order this in the next week, because you get a really good deal on it. This is, I mean, incredible. I mean, this was 82 pages. We're going to 100 with all of the coaching news and whatnot. So 100 pages. Let me sneak this back in here. So
No,
people
it's
now
a
wondering, this is not a
it's a
virtual background. This is a fat head on my wall. See that? This is wall. It's not a virtual background.
I think
A
right
peak.
back here somewhere I have all my old blue and gold yearbooks. So and I have a ton of the recruiting ones, the March ones, the February ones, excuse me. I always save those. I love to look at those a couple of years after the fact. I was just flipping through the one with Phil Dracovic on the
There you
cover
go.
a couple days ago. So
All
curious
right.
to see who's on the cover.
So drum roll. So you
If
think
it's
it's Angeli?
Joel,
You think I put
is
Angeli on it?
Jelly or Alt? Could it be Alt in
Alt
his
alt on the 2022 recruiting cover. All right. I'm sorry, podcast
exactly.
audience, but look
Oh,
at that
yeah.
shot.
Jalen, there you go.
Guess who took that picture?
Hey, it's a senior special.
You
You
know,
get the
I always have the recruits do this little podcast audience. I'm sorry, you got to
Irish.
watch this on YouTube. I always have the recruits do that little fighting Irish pose. And a lot of the times the kids are like, oh, that's corny, that's lame. And then I tell them to do it, and they do it, because I got a good relationship with a lot of these kids. And then I
Sure.
show them the picture, and they're like, dang, that's fire. And the kids love it. So this is $7. Are you
Notre
kidding
Dame.
me? Single issue? Um, this is at one. So seven freaking bucks? Are you kidding me? Come on. So there you go. But I don't know how we got on that subject, Tim. But
It's recruiting. We're having fun. Yeah,
yeah,
it's recruiting. Enjoying it, going
I
from
don't.
there.
I
But
just don't remember how we got there. We were on the different class rankings.
yeah, exactly. A different class ranking. Just looking at them, and this one a solid group. But I mean, your cover guy's a 5-star there on three, and he's an SEC linebacker. No, that's going back. The Freeman factor. I mean, he's not coming to South Bend without Marcus Freeman, and to pull him away from all the SEC schools is awesome. And I think those are the type. He's going back to the coaching staff. Those are some of the guys that Marcus Freeman is hiring to go after these guys and say, you need to come to South Bend to help us win a national championship. Going back to all the the talking that that Marcus Freeman's done for so long about the message of Notre Dame. And Jalen Sneed did it, and now it's time to use Jalen Sneed and go out there and get some more.
Yeah. Win for the Notre Dame basketball program, 68-64 over Miami. Did not realize we were taping during the basketball game.
That's on the road. Well, a big win for the girls last night for the women's team
Huge
last
over
night.
NC State.
Top three. Yeah,
It was
top
NC
three
State,
win.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
top three.
yeah, top three team in
Huge,
the country.
huge. Yeah, so here's a look at Jalen Sneed's for YouTube audience. His industry comparison on 3 has him ranked the highest at 26, 5-star. The rest of the sites have ranked as a 4-star, but when you put that sucker into the algorithm, comes out the number 32 player. And at the final ranking, all the top 32 players in the country per the On3 consensus get ranked a 5-star. So if someone in the 23 class is a 5-star and then they reclassify to 2022 and they stay a 5-star there, Sneed will end up being a 4-star. Not my favorite thing, kind of a weird quirk, but
But
there you
you
go.
know what? But Sneed may be just undervalued because you go back to his summer, his camp circuits, and I mean, he's covering
I was
slot
there for all of them,
receivers.
dude. He was incredible.
He's covering slot receivers signing in Alabama and Georgia like it's piece of cake. His film, from the camp circuit, it was just lights out. And then you watch his senior highlight film. He's elite.
Yeah.
This guy could run and hit. I mean, he's Jalen Smith, is what he is. He had so many of the same qualities, instincts, speed, length, power, all those things. So that dude could run and hit.
All right, I had 6 topics written down for us that we've gotten through like 2.5.
Yeah, it's all good.
So,
What about the
but
coaching staff?
what's
I
that, Tim?
mean, well, you know what? We're talking so much recruiting. How about we, go right into your field as far as the coaches that have been on the road the last couple of weeks. You know, the buzz, the excitement, of them. We've talked about that a bunch on the message board as far as when was the last time Notre Dame's head football coach has not been home for a couple of weeks. He's out.
He
He's everywhere.
he
Marcus
was
Freeman is
everywhere.
everywhere.
I mean, he
Everywhere.
was coast to coast, covered all corners of the country. It was impressive. I mean,
Yes.
I remember I reported this on the Blue and Gold message board. This was crazy, and I don't remember if I tweeted this out as well. Oh crap, what school was it in the DMV? Jason Moore School, DeMatha Catholic.
Matha.
Brian Kelly had what 12 years at Notre Dame. Never visited there once, and they've had over 24-star prospects in Brian Kelly's tenure at Notre Dame. That's
That's
a
wild.
good bit. That's two a year. He never went there. Super strong profile school for Notre Dame. Never went there. Like I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
Marcus Freeman went there, 6 weeks after he got the job. Um, all the top targets, long shots, locks, 2022 signees that haven't enrolled yet, 2023 guys. He went to see all of them. It was impressive. He grinded, and it sets the standard at the top. It sets the example for your assistants of how this is what we're gonna do. I'm not going to be a recruit. You better recruit just as hard as I do. You can't slack off. Um, because if you're Brian Kelly, you're not recruiting hard, but you expect your staff to. And I'm an assistant coach and be like, dude, like you're not setting a good example. So
I mean, you just hear the quotes from these high school head coaches. Just talk about Coach Freeman when he comes in because you like the old elbow rule where you're not allowed to talk to the 2023 kids. You're the bump, the world famous bump, and
stupidest rule.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, I've been coaching forever, and I've been around the old school bump rule. So it's
Dude, it's
you
not
set it up.
old school. It's still the rule, but I just don't think
It's
anyone cares
well,
about it.
no, but you set it up. Yeah, especially if you got multiple coaches coming one day, you better set up a couple bumps anonymously. You got a Division I prospect, but yeah, I mean, Marcus Freeman, the entire staff, the articles that you wrote and kept track of, who they visited, where they went, it was relentless. I mean, they went everywhere but like North Dakota, it seemed like. So they were just all over the place. The way they attacked Texas is pretty interesting. And then just real quick, going back to DeMatha Catholic, is Max Preps wrote an article a couple years ago about the top high school leagues in the country, and they're all Notre Dame staples. You got the Cincinnati Catholic League. Notre Dame has gotten guys in there. The Tampa St. Pete Catholic leagues and some of those premier schools where they're going after Keon Keeley and guys of that nature. Notre Dame's gone into there. The DC, all those Catholics. Cam Hart comes from there.
Yep. Good
And
Counsel,
they're
St.
recruiting
John's. Yep.
exactly. They're recruiting the big DN for 2023 right now, out of that area going after. And obviously, me being a California guy, you got the Sarah League, which is part of Los Angeles, and then you got the Trinity League, which is Orange County. Notre Dame could just go to a couple of these spots and pluck a dozen guys each and every year, and that's going to come effort. And Notre Dame did send coaches to each and every one of those spots out there. So Coach Freeman was outstanding, the way he's recruiting and building towards 2023. Going back to my point of purging the roster, and I wouldn't be surprised if he signs 25, 30 kids this upcoming class.
In your time as a high school head football coach in Southern California, the top college coach who came to your high school to recruit, who was that?
Oh, I have a player at UCLA, so obviously Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly's a pretty big name. So uh,
Not bad.
when I was coaching junior college, Urban Meyer when he would stop by was always a big thing. So I've been at a couple schools. Notre Dame assistants would always come by. So Elston would always be by the area. Obviously, Polian's a big California recruiter, so he would always be in the area recruiting with his ties.
Cool. All right, pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna pull back up our topics list. You had something you wanted to discuss. It's been a month since the Fiesta Bowl. The status of Marcus Freeman's mojo. Tell me what
Ooh.
you're thinking in that. Where do you want to go with this? Tell me about his mojo right now. What's on your mind?
Yeah, it's interesting because you just want to sit back and because he does, he has a honeymoon, but he's played a game, so it's like, what is the mojo? What is Notre Dame Nation thinking out there, so to speak, about Coach Freeman? Is the Fiesta Bowl still stuck in their head? Like, oh, him and Coach Reese, two young coaches, they made no adjustments, things of that nature. Is this going to be the future? I think the mojo. I think you hit it off in the head with all your recruiting articles. They maintained the mojo, and kept it going for 2023. They lost a little bit, maybe a pinch when they in the recruiting they lost Walker, Walker to Michigan, and obviously C.J. Williams, but they had their reasonings. I think, and you've talked about this. They were looking to leave anyway, so to speak. And it's hard to pin so much of this class losses, guys they didn't get early. I'm talking even the running backs way back when in the spring. That's not Marcus Freeman's fault. He wasn't on those guys, some of the key guys they get. So what is the mojo? I think it's unbelievable. I think his coaching staff's awesome. I really do. And I use that word mojo because they've lost some coaches. So do people think that's a negative towards Marcus Freeman? No, I mean these guys have gone on to OC Power Five jobs, and I'm of the opinion of the guys they've brought on. Me personally, when you read their backgrounds and whatnot, nothing negative against the past coaches. They've won a lot of football games with Brian Kelly. I think there's been an unbelievable upgrade in some of the recruiting rooms at these positions, and that's what I'm really excited to see what Coach Washington does. Obviously, Stuckey at the receivers. We haven't even talked about the resume on the running back coach they just hired. I mean, my gosh, what a story that man has.
Love it. Love it.
Oh, I
All
mean,
right,
seriously, what?
I'm gonna stop you,
Go
Tim.
for it.
I'm gonna stop
Oh,
you because we're gonna get back to this. And then we're gonna get back to this, and we got one more topic. Then we're gonna get you guys out of here. But as we are recording this, we got 3 hours left of this Founders Club hat deal.
do it.
10% of your lifetime subscription at blueandgold.com will go towards the Loose Emoji Memorial Scholarship Fund. Again, guys, here's the sign up page. $1 for the first year, free Founders Club hat. The hat will ship sometime this summer once we get inventory. So deal of the year, it's $1. You get all the premium access of recruiting and what's going on with Notre Dame football. Access to me, I'm on our message board a crazy amount of time. I post on there much more than is probably healthy as a human being. So blueandgold.com, link in the comments of this video. Punch in blueandgold.com in your web browser. Sign up, buck for the first year. And again, before Thursday at midnight here in the next few hours, you sign up, get that free Founders Club hat, and be inducted into that. Thousands of Notre Dame fans have already done it. We have been blessed by the launch so far. But going back to the coaching talk, it is a pretty darn good staff. I know we kind of kicked off by talking with it. I really like DeLand McCullough. I think he's one of the best running backs coaches in the country. I really like Al Washington, as good as Mike Elston has been. I think he might bring something a little bit different to that room. Mike Elston recruited some big-time guys, but I think Washington, I don't know. I think he might mesh a little bit better with Freeman and the guys. He stand. I will let you speak about him, Tim. That's your man crush. And then the last coach, or tight ends coach, Parker, we talked about a lot. Bryan Mason seems like a really solid piece to recruit the state of Indiana. Obviously, he's going to recruit the specialists, but he's got a recruiting coordinator background. He's going to help out with all the positions, I feel like. And then the last coach we're still waiting on is defensive coordinator, and that opening has been up since Freeman got the job, right?
Yes.
And then Elston, is he going to be a candidate? Is he not? Well, Elston did not get the job, obviously. The opening is still there, and it seems to be because Al Golden has been their guy all along. Cincinnati Bearcats, excuse me, Cincinnati Bengals, AFC champs. What is he, the linebackers coach there? He's been
Linebackers.
a head coach at Miami in various stops. He seems to be the guy. So, continue your thoughts on this staff, Tim, and then what would you think about the Al Golden hire if it's him?
Well, let's just take a step back to the running back coach.
Okay, yeah, Delaney
You
McCullough.
know, I mean, when you just sit back and you read his resume, and nobody likes to lose coaches. So when Coach Taylor leaves, people maybe get worried and whatnot. But when you read his resume and his life story, the one position you want a guy to go into a room and have a life story like he has is running back. And he is going to be able to talk with a lot of running backs in America, the high end running backs. And I mean, he was 1,000-yard running back in college, bounced around the NFL. He knows what a degree means. He knows what life means, life skills, all these things. And learning about his dad, who is his mentor, and he finds out down the road that's my dad. And obviously becoming really good friends with Tom Allen, who is, a heck of a football coach at Indiana.
He
And
is.
then, all you have to say is Andy Reid. Andy Reid went into college at USC and plucked him and named him associate head football coach. Andy Reid wanted him on his staff, and he's got a Super Bowl ring. So this guy's been around. Patrick Mahomes has played in a couple Super Bowls. I mean, you could go on and on and on. I think this is my favorite hire out of all of them. Is just outstanding.
Over
Seriously.
Heastand.
Well, Heastand, you don't count because he's Harry Heastand. He's an assistant coach Hall of Famer, for crying out loud. So he stands on his own mantle over there. But
He's your
the other,
Steve Angeli, Joe Alt.
exactly. But real quick, talk about recruiting. You got to give kudos to Jeff Quinn. I mean, the last two classes, Harry Heastand's coming in there and being like, "Let's go, fellas." He's got some dudes. He's got some dudes to work with, thanks to Jeff Quinn. For as much as message board fodder as that coach had, he's loaded up the room for Harry. But going back to the running back coach, he's got an unbelievable resume, and I think he's going to go after some of the premier running backs, which Notre Dame, Notre Dame's only signed a couple top 100 running backs in the Brian Kelly era. That's it. Or top 200. I think they're only 100 is well, obviously they had Greg Bryant, who didn't pan out. Lately it's Chris Tyree. And my thing is Chris Tyree a guy you're going to give the ball 25 times to? I think Notre Dame needs to go find one of those running backs. And I think the new football coach is going to go do that. I just love his resume and his story. And, and at running back, where you're talking about divas, you're talking about giving the ball to a guy to run off tackle for 25 times a game if needed. You got to go find those guys. And I think he's going to do that. So, yeah, I'm really excited about the staff. I really am, because it's a lot of Marcus Freeman philosophy in each and every one of these guys, which is teaching about life and selling that Notre Dame message. And he's got some dudes to do it.
All right. Well, we're out of here. Tim, fun show. We will have to do this again sometime soon. Tim, I just hear you don't ever have much to talk about with Notre Dame football.
It never ends. It never ends. We got notes for days. We haven't even talked about the 2022 roster yet, barely. So, but it's going to get there real quick. It's going to get there. We'll get there soon. And just real quick, you mentioned Al Golden.
Oh yeah.
Fingers crossed it's him, just because of the experience factor. You look at his resume, where he's been, head coaching experience, NFL experience. Is the writing on the wall? It's his to take. Obviously, we won't know because he's still coaching. But if they could get a coach with his resume, not only that, you go back and read some of the old Lou Somogyi articles in the old Blue and Gold. His name is mentioned a lot in the recruiting circles when Notre Dame used to headbutt with him on the recruiting trail.
If there's still no defensive coordinator chatter, like about who Notre Dame's closing in on in a week from now, or even a couple days, it's like,
exactly,
it's got to be Golden. Like, what else are they waiting for? So
exactly.
that's gonna be interesting. So,
It's true. And
all right.
hey, even if they don't beat the Rams, he beat Patrick Mahomes. So be excited for that.
Who you got in the Super Bowl?
Well, I'm from born and raised in Los Angeles. You got to go for the Rams. I mean, seriously, you want Joe Burrow and LSU quarterback to win it? Come on, come on.
He's
Not
playing.
that he played, not that he played for Brian Kelly, but do you want an LSU quarterback to win a Super Bowl championship? So just think
It's
of that
very
for about
easy to root
5
for
seconds.
Joe Burrow. But I also
Oh,
put
true.
in a future really early in the season for the Rams to win the Super Bowl, so I
Oh, I
wouldn't
like
mind
it.
that. So
Hey,
all right, well that's gonna do it. And Tim, we also got to do a 2023 quarterback video before you come down
oh,
to Atlanta and whoop my ass because you've been calling for that for a while. So we will,
definitely quarterbacks. Definitely
we'll
quarterbacks.
yeah, we'll
That's
have
going
to
to be
do
fun
that
to
soon.
break down
But
some film.
all right, podcast folk, video folk, appreciate you watching. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, leave us a nice review on podcast, blueandgold.com. You got 3 more hours if you're still, if you're watching live with us here on Wednesday night. So appreciate you guys, and we will catch you guys next time.